You've probably heard the standard money speech 100 times. Be more disciplined, follow the budget, stop giving in, try harder, and eventually your finances will improve. But that explanation leaves out something important. Research associated with University College London suggests that roughly 40% of what people do each day is driven by habit rather than deliberate choice. A large part of your life is already running in the background. People who have accumulated $100,000, $200,000, or even $500,000 in net worth are not necessarily waking up every morning with superhuman self-control. They're not spending the entire day winning small battles against temptation. Their systems handle the dull parts. Their lives keep moving. Their savings grow in the background. Not punishment, not cutting every enjoyable thing, not proving that you can suffer longer than everyone else. It is about understanding the way your mind naturally operates, then setting up your money habits so your brain has less to fight. A lot of financial advice assumes that people calmly compare every option and then choose whatever is best for their future. Real life does not work that way. Your brain pays attention to what feels useful right now. It notices convenience, comfort, relief, novelty, and quick rewards. A benefit that might arrive decades from today has to compete with a reward sitting directly in front of you. That is why choosing between spending and saving over and over can wear you down. Psychologists often describe this as decision fatigue. Every choice uses a little more mental energy. At that point, the easiest option usually wins, and the easiest option is rarely the one designed for your future. People who save consistently reduce the number of times that argument has to happen. They make their repetitive choices automatic, so their money does not depend on how motivated they feel at 8:30 on a Wednesday night. The 10 habits in this video are not glamorous. They will not make your life look impressive online, but they use the same basic psychological idea. Remove unnecessary decisions, create useful defaults, and make the financially better choice easier to repeat. And the first habit puts that idea directly into action. The check arrives, rent or the mortgage is paid. Utilities come out, the credit card gets a payment, groceries, gas, subscriptions, and weekend plans take their share. Then saving is supposed to happen with whatever remains. The problem is that money rarely remains untouched for very long. Research from Harvard on spending behavior has found that people tend to expand spending toward the amount available after fixed costs. If your checking account shows an extra $500, daily life often finds 5 different ways to use it. There is a dinner you did not plan, something around the house needs replacing, a subscription renews, a weekend invitation appears, a purchase you have been considering suddenly feels affordable. None of those decisions may look irresponsible by itself, but together they can absorb the money that was supposed to build your emergency fund, retirement savings, or another long-term goal. Instead of waiting to see what survives, move money into savings or long-term accounts as soon as the paycheck arrives. The transfer can happen on payday, before the balance has time to feel available. Then your regular spending adjusts to what is left. Stanford research on financial automation found that automatic savers reported similar life satisfaction to higher earners who were putting away a smaller share. Behavioral economists call part of this mental accounting. Your brain does not treat every dollar the same. Money sitting in checking feels ready to spend. Money already moved into savings, retirement, or another designated account feels assigned to a different job. Schedule an automatic transfer for the same day each paycheck arrives. It could go to an emergency fund, a retirement account, or another long-term goal that fits your financial plan. The amount does not need to be dramatic at first. A transfer you can repeat every payday is more useful than an ambitious amount you cancel after 2 weeks. For example, investing $500 per month from age 25 through age 65 at a hypothetical 7% annual return would grow to more than $1.3 million. Actual returns are not guaranteed, and real results will vary. Taxes, fees, inflation, and market performance will also affect the outcome. but the example shows what steady contributions and long periods can do together. That is what paying yourself first really means. You are giving future goals a place in the budget before today's available balance quietly absorbs everything. Once that transfer becomes automatic, saving no longer has to win a new argument every month. Yes, this is budgeting, the habit many people would rather avoid. But the real value of reviewing your spending is not the spreadsheet, it is awareness. Financial behavior researchers at the University of Cambridge have found that frequent spending review can create what they call expenditure awareness. You may discover that you buy gas station snacks after a difficult commute. You may notice that takeout happens most often on Wednesdays because the refrigerator is empty. You may see 3 streaming renewals land in the same week. You may realize that grocery spending rises whenever you shop without a list. Research in the Journal of Consumer Psychology has reported that people who tracked spending, even without being pressured to cut back, reduced expenses by an average of about 15% over 3 months. When you see one restaurant charge, it may feel harmless. When the month shows $240 in delivery and pickup, the category becomes real. Your brain starts asking a better question. Was that worth what it cost me? The point is not to shame yourself, it is to see the pattern clearly. Record the expense, notice whether it felt planned or impulsive, add a quick word about your mood when that information seems useful. Over time, you may see that some spending is connected less to what you needed and more to what you were feeling. Maybe you spent because you were bored. Maybe you ordered food because you were tired. Maybe you bought something because a difficult day made you feel that you deserved a reward. A daily review can take 3 minutes before bed. Open the app or notebook, look at what you spent, check the account balance, then move on with your evening. You do not necessarily need to track every expense manually forever. You could review spending daily for 2 weeks to identify your patterns, then move to a short weekly review once the major leaks become visible. The important part is maintaining awareness before several small purchases become one large surprise. When budgeting becomes a tiny, familiar action instead of a stressful monthly event, it is easier to maintain. And the clearer your spending becomes, the more control you can have without relying on guilt. You are not tracking your spending to punish yourself. You are tracking it so your financial life stops being a mystery. Now that the money going out is visible and the money going toward your future is automatic, the remaining habits focus on reducing the everyday friction that creates unnecessary spending. This may sound painfully repetitive at first, but using the same basic meal rotation each week can be one of the most effective ways to lower food spending. And the main benefit is not stronger discipline, it is fewer decisions. Research from Cornell University's Food and Brand Lab has suggested that the average person makes more than 200 food-related choices in a day. Do you make eggs or grab a granola bar? Do you pack lunch or buy something near work? Should you thaw the chicken? Is there enough time to cook? Do you need groceries? Would delivery be easier? When the day has already used up most of your mental energy, dinner becomes one more problem to solve. That is when a $12 drive-thru stop turns into a $38 delivery order because no one wants to make another decision. A simple meal rotation removes much of that friction. Maybe breakfast is oatmeal, eggs, or yogurt. Lunch is a turkey wrap, leftovers, or a rice bowl. Dinner rotates between sheet pan chicken, tacos, pasta, and soup. Once those meals become familiar, the grocery list becomes familiar too. You know how much rice your household uses. You know whether 1 carton of eggs is enough. You know which vegetables will actually get eaten and which ones usually end up forgotten. That makes the grocery bill easier to predict. It reduces spoiled food. It also lowers the odds that you will order takeout simply because the kitchen feels confusing. Give food a simple system. Let 4 or 5 dependable meals carry most of the week. You can still try something different when you genuinely want to. The goal is not to turn eating into a punishment. The goal is to stop paying extra because you had to invent dinner from scratch every night.
Before buying another round of groceries, look through the refrigerator, freezer, and pantry first. Make one meal each week a clean-out challenge built around whatever needs to be used. The Natural Resources Council has estimated that an average American family throws away around $1,500 worth of food each year. That can look like half a bag of carrots that went soft, yogurt hidden behind the milk, cooked rice pushed to the back, frozen vegetables no one remembered, or ground turkey bought for a recipe that never happened. When the front of a shelf looks empty, your brain can interpret the open space as proof that something is missing. You feel understocked even though usable food may be scattered throughout the kitchen. That is how duplicate purchases happen. You buy another bottle of sauce, another bag of rice, or another box of snacks because the one you already own is out of sight. Research connected with the University of Pennsylvania has also explored the satisfaction people feel when they finish what they already have. Completing something can create its own small reward. That means using the last tortillas, finishing the frozen berries, or turning leftover vegetables into a soup can feel surprisingly satisfying. You get the sense of completion without buying anything new. Maybe dinner becomes quesadillas with leftover chicken. Maybe lunch is a grain bowl made from rice, roasted vegetables, and the last few eggs. Maybe the freezer finally supplies the meal you forgot was there. This is not about forcing yourself to eat spoiled food or creating strange combinations no one wants. It is about noticing what you already paid for before adding more. Finishing what you already own cuts waste, and every item rescued is one less item you need to buy again. This one challenges the automatic rule that a larger package always means a better deal. Bulk purchases can make sense for products your household uses steadily, especially things that store well. Toilet paper, rice, frozen meat, eggs, or other staples may be cheaper in larger quantities when you know they will be used. The problem begins when a lower unit price convinces you to purchase more than your real habits can support. Researchers at MIT have described a pattern in which people imagine an unrealistically organized future version of themselves. That future person will eat the entire container of strawberries before they mold. They will finish the family-sized tub of sprung mix. They will portion the bakery muffins carefully. They will use all 12 cups of yogurt before the dates pass. Research published in the Journal of Consumer Research has found that people often overestimate how much they will consume later and underestimate how quickly perishable products will decline. Once waste is included, the cheaper item may cost more for every portion you actually used. Maybe you buy one small box of berries because that is what gets eaten in 3 days. Maybe you choose a single bag of salad instead of 2 giant containers. Maybe you purchase 4 yogurts because 8 usually sit untouched. Buy larger quantities when the savings are real and the product matches your routine. Buy smaller quantities when spoilage, boredom, or overconsumption is likely. Your grocery strategy should be built around the household you actually have, not the perfectly efficient household you picture while standing under warehouse store lighting. You have probably heard the calculation: skip the $6 latte, brew coffee at home, and save around $2,000 over a year. But coffee itself is not necessarily the financial problem. The expensive pattern is often the automatic purchase you barely notice because it has become part of the commute. Consumer behavior researchers at Harvard Business School have examined what can happen when people remove small pleasures and provide no satisfying replacement. The result can be a deprivation backlash. You save money in the morning, but later you order an expensive lunch, buy something unnecessary online, or convince yourself that you deserve a bigger reward because you have been good. The solution is not always to remove the pleasure, it is to move the pleasure into a less expensive setting. Make home coffee an experience you actually like. Use beans you enjoy. Add cinnamon. Learn a simple cold brew recipe. Use the mug that feels good in your hand.
Sit for 5 quiet minutes instead of drinking it while searching for your keys. Then buy coffee when you are catching up with a friend, meeting a coworker, taking a break in a new neighborhood, or using the shop as a place to focus for an hour. Studies associated with the Booth School at the University of Chicago suggest that deliberate spending can feel more satisfying than purchases made from habit. A coffee you deliberately choose may feel meaningful. A coffee purchased every morning without thinking can become less enjoyable, even while the cost continues. So make coffee at home, but do not make it feel like a penalty. Create a routine that you look forward to. Keep the cafe visit for moments when the setting, the company, or the change of scenery genuinely improves your day. The basic idea is simple. The more often you place yourself around products, deals, and buying opportunities, the more likely you are to purchase something. Maybe you open Amazon to check one order. 20 minutes later, you have several items in your cart that did not exist in your mind before you opened the app. Research from Stanford's Consumer Psychology Lab has found that browsing products can activate reward systems, even when someone did not begin with a plan to buy. Looking creates anticipation. Anticipation creates a small burst of excitement. After enough scrolling, leaving with nothing can start to feel disappointing. Maybe you open Amazon while watching television. Maybe you browse the Walmart app while waiting for an appointment. Maybe you walk through the mall because you have an hour to fill. Maybe you check a deal site every evening even though you need nothing. Each time, you are teaching your brain that empty time should be solved with products. Duke University research on habit formation has often been discussed alongside the idea that repeated behavior can become automatic over time. Some studies place that process around 66 days on average, though individual habits vary. If boredom regularly leads to browsing, browsing can start happening before you even notice the feeling that triggered it. The substitute has to be engaging enough to occupy your mind or satisfying enough to provide some of the stimulation you are seeking. That could be a workout, a library book, a crossword puzzle, a walk with a podcast, a phone call, a home project, a free class, or a creative hobby. You usually cannot erase habit and leave nothing behind. When the cue appears, your mind will search for the old response unless a new one is available. Once shopping is no longer your default form of entertainment, spending can fall without every day feeling like a test of resistance. People who love spontaneity may not like this one, but structure can quietly protect your finances. Research from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania has connected structured living with fewer impulsive choices, including spending decisions. Maybe Sunday afternoon is meal prep. Monday night is leftovers. Groceries are picked up on Wednesday. You exercise after work 3 days a week. Friday is a movie at home. Bills are reviewed on the same morning each month. Without that structure, the day becomes a series of open questions. What should we eat? What should we do tonight? How do I feel less bored? Where should we go this weekend? Then you open social media and see someone eating at a new restaurant, flying somewhere beautiful, remodeling a kitchen, or wearing a new outfit. You may begin spending not because you wanted something before, but because someone else's highlight made your normal life feel behind. A routine you genuinely like creates a baseline. You know what your week looks like. You are less available for every comparison, advertisement, and impulse that passes through your screen. You can save for a trip. You can set money aside for concerts. You can choose a weekend adventure because it fits your life, not because scrolling made you feel that your life was too ordinary. People with strong savings often have ordinary weeks that look predictable. They know when they shop, what a normal week costs, and where their time goes. That consistency closes many of the small leaks created by rushed, emotional, or last-minute decisions. And a good default can keep your money from being asked to rescue every unplanned day. There is always another serum, toner, mask, device, treatment, or limited release promising to complete what your current routine supposedly lacks. The beauty industry is very effective at making enough feel permanently out of reach.
Research in the Journal of Consumer Psychology has discussed complexity bias, the tendency to assume that a more complicated solution must be more effective. So one product becomes five, five becomes 10. Before long, the bathroom cabinet contains expensive items that are rarely used in the correct order, or used at all. A detailed routine may feel exciting for 2 weeks, then you get home late, skip half of it, and eventually return to the two products that were easiest all along. For many people, that might mean a cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen, and one targeted product recommended for a specific need. The exact choices will differ, but the principle is consistency over quantity. Using 4 products regularly can be more useful than owning 12 products sporadically.
Cornell research has suggested that consumers dramatically overestimate how quickly they will finish beauty products, sometimes by roughly 300%. You may believe a new palette will be used within a few months. Years later, it is still mostly full, sitting beside 2 newer palettes bought for the same reason. The money-saving habit is straightforward. Finish, replace, then reconsider. Use the moisturizer before opening another one. Wear the lipstick you already liked enough to buy. Reach the bottom of the product before treating a new launch as a need. This is not about ignoring your appearance or refusing every product that brings you joy. It is about separating a routine that serves you from a collection that exists because novelty keeps asking for another purchase. Wear the same pieces again, repeat combinations, let a good outfit do its job more than once. Research in the Journal of Fashion Marketing has described wardrobe fatigue and the pressure people feel to appear new or different around others. You may worry coworkers will notice the same jacket. You may think friends remember what you wore 2 weekends ago. You may feel that photos require a new look every time. Most people are too focused on their own appearance to keep a record of yours. Repeating clothes also changes the economics of every purchase. Imagine a $120 jacket worn 60 times. That is $2 per wear. Now compare it with a $25 shirt worn once and then forgotten. That single inexpensive purchase costs $25 for the only time it served you. The item with the higher price tag can become the better value when it is used often. Repeating outfits also helps you discover your actual style. You learn which pants you reach for on busy mornings. You notice which shoes remain comfortable after a full day. You see which colors work with most of your closet and which purchases require too much effort. Instead of buying for an imagined lifestyle, you begin buying for the life you repeatedly live. Behavioral economics research associated with Princeton has suggested that people who make fuller use of existing clothes can report greater wardrobe satisfaction than people who constantly chase new items. Jeans, a plain shirt, and one jacket. Work pants, a knit top, and the same comfortable shoes. A small set of outfits that fit, feel good, and require little thought. Use what you own, lower the cost of each wear, build confidence through familiarity instead of constantly purchasing novelty. Those are the 10 habits. Move money toward your future before the rest of the paycheck gets assigned. Review your spending regularly so your financial life stops being a mystery. Repeat a small group of meals. Use the food you already have before restocking. Buy quantities that match your real consumption. Make home coffee enjoyable. And save coffee shop spending for moments that matter. Do not browse stores because you are bored. Create a weekly routine that reduces expensive last-minute choices. Keep personal care simple enough to use consistently, and repeat your outfits so you get real value from your closet. Wealth is rarely built by one emotional burst of motivation. It is more often built through plain behaviors that continue after the motivation disappears. Duke University research has estimated that as much as 45% of daily behavior may be habitual, rather than consciously decided. So if saving has felt difficult, that does not mean something is wrong with you. You may simply be using a strategy that asks your brain to fight the same battle too many times. Your mind naturally notices what is easy, rewarding, comfortable, and available now. These habits do not try to eliminate those needs, they redirect them. An automatic transfer removes money from the daily spending conversation. A regular spending review makes invisible patterns visible. A familiar meal makes dinner easier. Finishing food creates a sense of completion. A good home coffee ritual keeps the pleasure. A hobby gives boredom somewhere else to go. A predictable routine reduces the number of expensive last-minute choices your money has to solve. You can still enjoy an interesting life. You can travel, try new things, buy items you value, and spend money on experiences that matter to you. These habits will not solve every financial problem. They cannot single-handedly fix low wages, unaffordable housing, medical debt, or rising childcare costs. But they can stop avoidable automatic spending from making an already difficult situation harder. Because serious savings, whether the goal is $100,000, $200,000, or something much larger, usually come from what happens repeatedly when no one is paying attention. Choose one habit from this list and test it this week. Pick the change that would remove the most friction from your current life. Make it easy to repeat. Give it a clear cue. Let the system carry more of the work. You do not need to become a different person overnight. You need a few stronger defaults. Lasting wealth is built through ordinary actions that keep happening while you are busy living your life. And once those actions become automatic, their plainness may become one of your greatest financial advantages.